Get ready for another exciting message from Reverend Joy Fields entitled, Take Another Inventory. Join us now as we go there live.
The other day, my husband Cornell and I went to Fridays, the restaurant. And while we were there, Cornell was witnessing to our waiter and asking him to elaborate a little more about why he never goes to church. The waiter began by talking about how he didn't understand why God allowed bad things to happen to people who didn't deserve it. He just couldn't reconcile in his mind why being a good person or even a churchgoer doesn't guarantee only good things in our lives. What our waiter didn't understand is that our spiritual relationship with the Lord does not exempt us from facing and dealing with natural realities. Humans have choice. And if someone drives while intoxicated, it's possible that some innocent bystander may be killed. Or someone chooses a behavior tied to negative consequences, that person will most likely have to face a negative outcome. In our passage today, we encounter a distraught woman plagued by her dead, holy husband's foolish choices. In verse 1, the prophet's widow cries out, "Your servant, my husband, is dead. And you know that he revered the Lord, but now his creditor is coming to take my 2 boys as his slaves." I know we love to stress that God is Jehovah Jireh, our provider, and he is. But we also have to take our own financial responsibility into account. And according to our text, we know that the widow's prophetic husband was not as focused on storing up for his family's future as he was with his personal development as a man of God. The prophet's holy calling and his spiritual connection with God didn't keep the man's creditors from contacting his wife. His status and his commitment to Elisha's school of prophets didn't even exempt his children from being able to be taken into slavery to pay his debt. You know, this man who served the Lord with his all never caught the revelation that he should position his family to live on in his absence. Isn't it interesting that even in the spiritual realm, we can have selective hearing? In our interceding and exercising a praying spirit, there are times when we can hear and understand great mysteries, but miss what God is saying about our everyday situations. And I know we typically don't like thinking about our own death. We don't like thinking about the possibility of life-altering situations. I know we don't care to think about possible difficult days in our future, but we have to prepare. We have to think ahead. We have to do our best to anticipate what will be needed in our next season, or else we will find ourselves caught between a rock and a hard place, caught off guard and unprepared like this widow. And yes, our status as Christians does solidify some things for us, like salvation, eternal life, access to God, and supernatural empowerment. But it doesn't exempt us from needing to learn, understand, and pursue the natural wisdom and resources of this world. We need to understand how to use current technology. We need to know how to create a solid financial portfolio, how to budget our money, how to read the fine print in legal documents. We need to be well-rounded in what we read, and we need to learn from other people's successes and failures. And no matter how holy this widow was in our text, she and her 2 sons could not be sustained by the abundance of oxygen in her home or prayer alone. No matter how much air was in her house, she would not be sustained by that. But if they were going to survive, they needed resources of economic value. Despite the biblical presentation of dire need for some form of income, we don't know how long it was before the widow woman came crying to Elisha. We don't know how many nights she tossed and turned, thinking, trying to figure things out in her mind. But it doesn't sound like the woman was prepared for her new reality. Perhaps she always banked on dying first. When she got married, maybe she shared the same hope as other women to be loved, cared for, and economically secure. Being married, she believed her husband would be her provider. But here she is, widowed, with 2 children, and visited by her dead husband's creditor. Things could be different if the children were old enough to help out, but apparently her children are not of age to bring in resources to sustain the family. The only option for them, we're told, is to be taken as slaves. And you know, for me, this passage really makes me wonder, what pushes us out of the independent, I can rely on myself mentality? I mean, what does it truly take for us to realize that we really do need some divine input into our situations? I always pray that it won't take death or a tragedy or sickness for me to catch the revelation. I'd rather just trust God from the beginning. And for the widow, it may have taken becoming desperate. Desperation that comes when she knew that she needed to keep things together but realized that she was clearly losing the fight. Perhaps for us, being shaken out of the I'm independent, I can rely on myself mode comes when the results of handling our own situations say we placed everything valuable to us in big pockets filled with holes. Everything just pouring out. No matter what we do, the reality we once knew is quickly fading, and there's no solution in sight. By the time the woman got to Elisha, I believe that she had come to the end of herself. She had done all the private praying she could do. She had done all the penny pinching possible. She had stayed up late at night trying to figure out how to eat less, how to spend less, how to keep others from knowing she was drowning. This widow woman had done all she could to keep the children from knowing the severity of their situation, to calm their fears and to be strong for them. But eventually, finally, the woman had come to a place where she had nothing more to offer. She couldn't find a solution for herself. Her own strength had given out, and she realized that she needed to turn to her source. And I ask you the question today, how long will we stay locked away in our homes? How long will we stay locked away trying to do things on our own? How often do we attempt to stand on our own strength, our own understanding, our own education, our own status among our peers? We try to stand on our own discernment, our own ideas, and our own rationalizations. We say to ourselves, I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. I know how I need to go about this. But do we? Do we really know what we're doing? Have we sought the Lord? Have we asked God about the prepared future He has for us? Have we asked the one who knows all things, what should I do? How should I go about this? I've read about many methods and many strategies, but which one should I choose in this situation? I know what other people have done in the past, but do you want me to go that same route, or do you want me to go another? When we finally come to that place of knowing that without God we can do nothing, when we really get that if God doesn't help us, we just won't be helped, and when we finally acknowledge that we don't know everything God knows about our situation, that is the moment that God breaks in and brings about change. That is the moment our answers become clear.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of Take Another Inventory by Reverend Joy Fields. Stay tuned and join us for the second part of this awesome message.